And back out here. This is a surprise impromptu special spotlight on my encyclias because I've been getting quite a few lately and I already have quite a few. And the fragrance is overwhelming at times and it won't last forever. And I wanted to share them with you, especially some of the newest ones that I've got. Um, and it just makes sense to do them live. This is my newest one that I got today. And I'll bring it over here. You can see it arrived mounted, and you can see it is previously bloomed. And there was a reason why I got this, besides the fact that I am obsessed with Encyclias. Um, if you don't really know that, I'm kind of just starting off like a dry run without even explaining the video. But this is a spotlight on my Encyclias that are just in full bloom right now. So many of them, and they won't last. So I wanted to showcase them and just feature some that are special, maybe that aren't in bloom, and just to give a little bit of a culture on how I grow my encyclias and how I've gotten them to, over the years, finally figured out the culture and gotten them to be more successful with reblooming them. But this is my latest and greatest um, purchase, and this is one that I got from Marble from down in Florida. Can't remember how much it was, but the reason that I got this was because I got it from watching one of Natalia's videos down in Florida. Just one more Orchid, and she was probably at Florida Suncoast, and they had this hybrid or wherever she was at, and it was very floriferous and very fragrant. So ever since that video, I have been looking for it and got it, and that hangs high. And Cyclias in general, for me, work better when they're mounted, kind of the same way as Brassavolas. Pretty much is the same wet, dry cycle. They want lots of water while they're in growth during the growing season, and then once their growths mature, once their bulbs mature, they want practically dry conditions, but they still like the humidity. They can take a little bit cooler temperatures, but the primary source of moisture during the winter is misting, um, and the cooler temps spur initiate them to spike or to give us new growths at the beginning of the spring. So, like I've said in some other videos about other species or genuses that have that same growth pattern, they like a rest when they are done, and so that's why they prefer to be mounted, so that you can hang them high up and you can water them as much as they need, and then when they don't want any, you can just leave them dry. Because when you get their roots too wet and they don't get a chance to dry in between, the bulbs will just rot. And once one rots, it is very easy to go from one to the next to the next to the next. And that's how I've lost so many encyclia. So you really have to be careful with the watering, really. Um, they do much better when they are just bare mounted because the amount of water that they receive in the spring uh, gets them uh, active and the roots, new roots coming out so that they grasp onto whatever they are mounted on or potted inside. Like this Encyclia hybrid up here, you can see these are the previous growths that have been resting, and then the roots have started to perk up and the growths from the base have started to happen. Same as this Tampensis up here, which is a Florida native. You can see the new growths coming up from amongst the matured bulbs, which have flower spikes on them. And these bulbs, which are maturing, will be the source of next year's flowers. And they all have that same growth period, that cycle. So that hybrid that I just showed you is right here in Encyclias denbachii, and it's a black and white photo, but it is fairly muted picture. It's like tan color, Pastelli, but it says that it's a prolific grower. I think it says that it's also, no, that's something else. This is it. Grow bright, light, and dry. Good air circulation. Plants should be watered generously during after growth. It must dry between waterings. Root should not remain wet, which is exactly what I said. So, but encyclias are special. They are special. Special to me, and I know they are special to a lot of folks. The fragrance, the hybrids, it's all just intoxicating, almost to a degree where they can tend to smell the same to a degree, the hybrids and the species, but the variety and the variation in the color and the flower form is always a little bit different. And this is one that I just got yesterday, of course. You know, you saw the video, and that is Encyclia Marissa's Sunset Freckles. Very fragrant. It's got Encyclia rufa, which is one of the most fragrant encyclias. And speaking of rufa, let's walk in here. Now, my rufa is hanging out back here on the shelf. Encyclia is like, as I've said, highlight, and this gets a highlight position. There's the rufa. It is pretty much just bare root in that basket, and it has got lots and lots of growths coming up. Some that are maturing. I'm hoping to get a bloom or a spike. Yeah, there's quite a few, more than I've seen. That is a species, yellow, um, very mustard yellow color, but very, very fragrant. Now I can pan down here, this one in particular, which you all know you're very familiar with, and it's kind of going out, but this is the Ruffly Profuse that has part um, Rufa in it, and it also has half Profusa. Now, right behind here, which is kind of taking over, is another species, which is Belizensis. And then over here, I have Encyclia alata, which is really, really nice, very musky fragrance. I'm not sure what this Encyclia is up here. I don't have the tag, but I have several. Um, Here is one up here that I will show that is really doing really well. You can see the new growths that are coming up off of the side there. It's a miniature, hoping for spikes, but not yet. This is Encyclia hamburgii, a species. We are talking encyclias today, and I just showed you the species that I have here that are going out. This hybrid that just went out, that is doesn't have flowers on it, but these two in particular that are still very fragrant. Here's another encyclia cross over here. This is actually a Yamadara crossed with Encyclia randii, which randii is it's a synonym of Cordillera, which I don't have a Cordillera. I used to. Cordillera is very, very big. Cordillera and alata can be very, very big. Their pear-shaped bulbs can be difficult to contain, except for on a mount. Um, but the fragrance that they impart is just incredible. Now coming back out here, I have some more encyclias, a lot more encyclias, in fact. This is another Hamburgii, and these two are actually the same. It's a hybrid. No, actually, this is Borcana, primary hybrid. No, that's actually not a primary hybrid. Borcana, which is, that's Cordillera times Bractessens. And this actually is a Tampensis cross. But yeah, but encyclias are very, very rewarding. Here's a species right here. This is my Encyclia patens, which is a small-ish encyclia. It's on this little piece of scrap wood, but you can see it's attached to it. It's got nice growths coming up off of it. So hopefully someday I will see a bloom on that. That is Patton's. That's got a yellow tannish flower, uh, branching stems, really nice. Over here, this is another hybrid that I got from Santa Barbara, and this one has bloomed for me, but it didn't bloom last year. That's the Encyclia Torridoniana Sandstorm, which is standard setter times Hamburii. And was this? Yeah, this is Hamburii. Hamburii was the little miniature that I showed you just before I walked out here. This Encyclia is a recovering Encyclia, only one bulb, and I just put it there this year in hopes, fingers crossed. This is Encyclia Winfield Rascal, which is Polarchiana times gracilis. So, yeah, that didn't do so well over the last couple of winters that I've had it. Now, moving up here, I can't forget this plant. This is Encyclia Dickinsonianum. Really nicely fragrant species, soft fragrance. It said in the book that it was like, what did it say? Sour? It's not sour to me. It's more savory, but it has a sweetness to it. Um, but we're talking Gracilis, and let me look in this book and see what it says about some of these encyclicas that I'm talking about, just to give you a little more facts. And here's Encyclia Dickinsonianum. Um, there's a picture of the flowers. Looks pretty similar. Occurs from Mexico to Nicaragua, dry forests, semi-deciduous forests, low, moderate altitudes, clustered pseudobulbs up to 2 inches, branched or unbranched inflorescence. Flowering occurs from spring to summer. And actually, here's Hamburii that we just looked at. Species Mexico on rocks, so that sounds like it would be lithic, dry oak forest, so dryish, and gets at altitude from 4,000 to 6,000 feet. So that actually is more high elevation. So I really need to watch that plant, but it seems to be doing okay so far. Pseudobulbs are 3.5 inches long. You can see how far I have to grow the plant. Flowering is from spring to early summer. There's the flower. That's Moriana. I know that's a cool grower. Here is Patton's that I just showed you. The little one that was on the little piece of wood. Species is from Brazil, also pseudonym Odoratissima. Low to moderate altitudes. Pseudobulbs are up to 1 foot long. So you saw how small they were. Inflorescence a little taller than the leaves, 15 leaves, very fragrant flowers. Appears from late winter to summer. So that's another one that I have. And here's Tampensis, of course, Florida native, all the way down to the Bahamas. Very familiar, common in collections, of course, but still likes that same um, culture that set. Let me see if there's any more here. That's none in that book. Um, Let me see and go around and see if I've missed anything. But that's pretty much the extent of what I wanted to say. But I will focus more on some of the other ones that I haven't pointed out yet that are out here, like this species right here that I got from Florida Sun Coast. And it is supposed to be fragrant, but I have not smelled any yet. This is Yapariensis, Encyclia Yapariensis. Again, no fragrance. Yeah, none since I've had the plant, and I've had it for a minute. Now let me see if I can find any flowers left on this plant. It was beautiful, but it is a stellata crossed with Belizensis. Belizensis you saw me have in there. I think I might find one flower that might be good. Yeah, see those. That's what that flower will look like. Very pretty. And as I told Jerry again, I'll just yank you off a piece soon. All right. Let me see if there's any other Encyclias of note. I know I have some over here. Some crosses. I know this is the Randy Eye that's crossed with Hawaiian. Is that Hawaiian lightning? No, Hawaiian leopard. Hawaiian leopard. Not really doing much yet. Um, in here, I have Encyclia ambigua, which is a species, and I believe that is in that book, and I'll have to go back and show you the book. Ambigua is a species, as I've said. This is just in sitting on top of this basket, bare root. So that's that. And then here is one of my Encyclia Matarois, and it is also in here with just charcoal, really nothing else in here. Both of these are very, very fragrant. What's going on up here? Okay, yeah, let me see if I've missed anything. But yeah, highlight with Encyclias, acclimating it, of course, to the higher light gradually, and uh, lessening of water to the point where they're dry, and supplementing that with misting, very fine mist daily, sometimes maybe a couple times a day throughout the winter, but no watering for the most part. And besides that, uh, keep maintain the higher light, um, lessening of temperatures. Here's another one that I want to point out in here. I have a diurna that I know is out here that just finished blooming, and it's right here, my diurna. You all remember that because that one, most fragrant, is so many times. Very nice species, Encyclia, and it just finished blooming as we remember, and it is now already putting up new growths right there. So that's special. And yeah, that's my Roofly Profuse. This is my Encyclia Standard Setter times Incubans that has bloomed for me. But yeah, Encyclias are very special. You can mount them, you can keep them small, by dividing the bulbs as they accumulate and sharing them. And most of all, the fragrance is very desirable. This is Nursery Rhyme, which has Cordillera in it, I'm sure. And this is my fragrant less Orchid Jungle, which is a fluke right now, but maybe next year. But Encyclias are the bomb. And here's one up here that I've had for years that has just been working on its own, just sitting up, dry, getting water occasionally from me, but mostly from the sky. Same in the winter. And you can see how fat that bulb is, and it has not ever been repotted. So we will see. That's a no ID. But anyway, hopefully this video will give you a little bit of a better understanding. Now I'm looking. Hey there, Jerry. I've said your name a few times. Hey there, Tracy, Patricia. Thank you all for watching. I don't think I missed much. Here's another Encyclia here. But they do best mounted. If you put them in a pot, just be careful of your watering if it's in bark. So, but yeah, fragrance. Most of them are fragrant. So anyway, thanks for watching and enjoy your orchids. Talk soon.